Hello, my name is John Bega and I'm chairman of Swiss Style magazine and welcome you to Swiss Style Broadcast. I'm sitting in for Michael McKay, who has been sent away on good behavior to get some rest, and I've invited to today's broadcast Creus Moreira, the president and founder of a company called WISeKey, a Swiss terribly specialized security company. And Mr. Moreira has come today because something very exceptional is being announced today, exclusively on Swiss Style Broadcast. Mr. Moreira, you're a specialist in the security industry, and for a number of years that was your basic DNA. As of late, and since 2007, you took the notion of security in the digital world and took it a step further. You brought it a step further to include environments such as sports environments, where you help create the environment whereby fans of specific clubs can interact with each other and with the club in a very secure environment. In 2007, you worked with the Alinghi team, which was well known in participating in the America's Cup, and you repeated that operation in 2010. But it seems counterintuitive that a security company would be dealing with fan environments. Can you explain how that happened?
Sure, John, thank you very much. So security is ubiquitous in our society, especially what we can call digital security, and in the case of sport, infrastructure security. Security events attract millions of people and they are gathering one specific location. So obviously the security of the event is important. The security now being used, like in the case of the America's Cup, into the boats is important. But it's also, what is important, as you just say, is how can we reach out millions of people, what we call the eyeballs, that they are eventually becoming participants to that event through their mobile phones, because the mobile phones are becoming terminals to the content generated by those infrastructure. So in 2007, WISeKey challenge was how can we help the Alinghi team, because we are both Swiss, to secure the 2007 America's Cup edition. That project was very much focused on providing biometric access to the sailors, encrypt the data, then there was transfer between the boats and the infrastructure, providing access control to the Valencia base.
So this was more local-based security.
Security, pure security DNA. In 2010, then we realized that there was a lot of premium content that was generated by the boats. Amazing videos, amazing broadcasting of the interactions between boats, games, very interesting digital games. So we started to think, what about if we let millions of people, and they are not physically located in the base, to access that content and being able to participate anywhere around the world. So that was the beginning of the thinking process. How can we enlist a fans ecosystem worldwide directly with the sports events and be able to participate as it is basically physical participation, but through the internet.
But still including the notion of security in that environment.
Absolutely. So obviously the immediate thing comes to your mind if you are bringing millions of people through the internet, through application, is do they compromise the physical infrastructure? Do we know who they are? Do they have digital identities so you can reach out with them and provide them premium services? Will they eventually be able to access through the security infrastructure provided by the America's Cup into private content and only them can see because they are enlisted as a fans of one specific team and not the other? So obviously that creates an ecosystem which is, due to the technology now, is very powerful and can be leveraged many, many times.
Well, that was 2010. The Alinghi team, we Swiss know, disappeared from the map for the time being, at least. And here we are today, sponsoring the Oracle team, which is over the next few weeks running as a challenger against whoever wins the Louis Vuitton Cup.
Yeah,
and that's a major step.
Absolutely. In our heart, we are still Swiss, so it's not that we are becoming Americans, but Oracle Team USA won the America's Cup in 2010 and brought the America's Cup to San Francisco, which is the hub of technology of the world. This is Silicon Valley, this is Palo Alto, this is San Francisco, Bay Area. So for us, we needed to be there. I mean, internet is one of the hottest companies in internet now, and for us to have a presence and show what we can do to the American ecosystem and and sport community and technology community is very important. So yeah, so we enter into an agreement with Oracle Team USA, and we develop for them, which is first time ever. This has not been done before in any America's Cup, so it's a world exclusivity. An application which allows the millions of fans that the Oracle Team USA has around the world to, through that application, access the social interactions of the sailors. So anything that the sailors are doing, posting in Facebook, in Twitter, in Instagram, all that data is collected and organized and brought to the sponsors and to the fans through a specialized application, which is based in is an Android and iOS application that you can download, and you can follow the interactions with the team. The application is two-way application, so users can also post data. You can take pictures of the application and put the pictures on an encrypted cloud. So it's an application that will allow users to be like they will be on the first line on physically on the event. And our objective is to reach out to millions of people around the world, and the application is available from today into the platform.
And again, thank you for giving us the exclusivity of the announcement. Having said that, the combination of security along with a public piece of software downloaded in the form of an application does have other added value aspects for certain companies that want to create a relationship with both the activity of the team itself and with Oracle and its other sponsors. How do you view that from a commercial point of view? So
for instance, because the application is based on high-end security, and what you do is create a digital identity. So when you download the application asks you to register, and you can register yourself, and that identity it's compatible with any other processes that you can conduct through that application. For instance, you can buy merchandising from one sponsor through eBay using that digital identity. In the future, we will be adding financial services into the application, so you can pay basically online. The market of digital identity is exploding worldwide. The United States in 2015, they are announcing to have each American will have a digital identity, which will create a massive ecosystem on transactional internet. We are in an internet which is not yet transactional. People cannot conduct serious transactions because who they are is not being validated. You know, the internet, and everybody thinks you are a dog. It's not exist anymore. I mean, we are in a situation where people has to have strong credentials in order to access transactional services.
Two worlds away from just having a password to access something. You are really validated as being John Joe King, the guy who signed up. You know this is the individual by within full security.
Correct. So that's the strategy of WISeKey entering into the United States, is to say, okay, the US is one of the largest consumer market in the world. America's Cup is the Team USA, has a huge visibility. This is a very big event. Obviously, our intention is to go beyond that, is to go to baseball, to go to basketball, to go to major American sports, which are bringing a huge ecosystem of users, and they need this technology in order to both to secure interactions with the user, but also to monetize the fans' interaction. And the monetization aspect is very important, because this is the first time on where brands now can, by bringing their fans directly into the brand via an app, monetize all the interactions with those fans. For the time being, this is done by Facebook. If you go to Facebook Messi page, and you will have 60 million followers on Messi, which is another client of WISeKey, because we are doing the same application for FC Barcelona. But Messi is making no money out of that. Neither
Messi, the football player.
Absolutely. Neither Messi makes money, neither FC Barcelona makes money. It is actually Facebook which is monetizing that interaction. So this belongs directly to the cloud. The cloud owns the app. The app is directly sent to the fans. The fans have interactions with the app, and whatever revenue that app generates, it's revenue that the club keeps directly, and not any other social media.
So it's not merely making the promotion of the brand. It's all being able to monetize any activity within the environment of the fan club in this instance. But brands wanting to take part in this indirectly in the form of sponsorship, How can they monetize their presence?
So for fans, let's say Puma, which is one of the sponsors of the America's Cup, Puma will love to allow the fans that have downloaded the app to access Puma merchandise inside and buy Puma products, which actually many of the America's Cup, Oracle Team USA, specialized sailor uniforms are done by Puma. And Puma would like to sell that to their database of clients, potential fans. So this application will let Pumas to reach out faster and better and globally without the need to have a Puma specialized application. Obviously, Puma is putting a lot of money to become a sponsor of such a prestigious event. It is in their interest to reach out as many fans as they can. So our market is all directly to that. Eyeballs in TV brings money to the TV. Eyeballs on fans apps bring money to the brand, and this is brand relations to the fans. Real Madrid, Barcelona,
they're taking control.
Yeah. Other sport in soccer, for instance, Barcelona has 180 million fans in Indonesia, 300 million fans in China. FC Barcelona is only monetizing fans in Spain and socios, people, and they go physical to the stadiums. With this technology, they can now reach out countries and before they didn't have any revenue and increase their client base and their revenue base.
So this potential sponsorship of the application will be made available upon its launch. There's a version 2 coming out soon.
Yeah.
How is that going to work differently?
So the version 2 is becoming a bit more transactional. Oracle Team USA has developed games, interactive games that now you can play through the application. They have also integrated, for instance, on the games, you can now pilot a boat by yourself. It has a very interesting way to test your skills. It calculates the wind, the boat speed, the wind speed. The boats are full of cameras. They have tiny cameras and they are capturing images while the boat is sailing. Those images are going to be loaded into a media library into the application. The application has also a very interesting feature, which is biometric authentication of fans. So fans can check their faces against sailors and see where are the level and percentage of resemblance.
Instead of saying, do I look like James Bond, they can say, do I look like...
Exactly. So that creates affinity with the sailor. It is a lot of technology. I mean, it's amazing the quantity of technology which is embedded into this application, which has many other applications. For instance, in the future, not for this America's Cup, but maybe for the next one, we could imagine to use those applications as an access control. I mean, new mobile phones are equipped now with NFC technology. We are fully compatible with NFC. So you could use your WISfans app as a way to access physically the infrastructure. So you can access to a stadium to see a soccer team match or access to a base to participate into an America's Cup.
So not only will they know who exactly is in the stadium, but you can make the transaction of the payment to the ticket to the stadium, and at the same time ensure that you're not a hooligan and you'll create a big fuss during the event. Yeah. Again, you've started from a security concept and moved in parallel, using the security as a basis, into so many other domains. How do you see the future of WISfans? You mentioned earlier baseball or football in the States. What is the next step?
So, you know, stadiums, for instance, Barcelona, Real Madrid are investing $1 billion in what they call retrofitting their stadiums. Their stadiums are becoming like media hubs. So now the stadium is not only a place where you go to see a match, it is a place where you're going to be broadcasting content from the user point of view. Before, the content you see in stadiums on sport events is the official content generated by cameras, and they are official cameras. Now, when you see a football match or you go to the America's Cup, you see millions of people that they are sending comments from the internet because they are interacting on a social interaction way. But also you have now people with their mobile phones with the app, then they are taking pictures, then they are taking videos, then they are collecting that information and send it back. So you have a two-way content, the content generated by the club, but also the content generated now by the fans. And this is actually the interesting content part of it. Now new ways of analyzing data allows you to take that content and put it in 3D images. You can create, for instance, let's say, back to soccer, let's say Messi scores a goal. Before we only have the angle of the official camera broadcasting that goal. Now we have 80,000 people in the stadium taking pictures and creating, with those pictures, we create 3D images and we can see this goal in a 3D dimensional part. So technology is moving so fast that something that before was boring and unilateral is becoming totally interactive and rich.
I can sense that this is not merely an application. This is by far becoming a channel per se, in its own right, where the content is provided both by the team, in this instance Oracle, if you were to take the case, and by those fans that are partaking, giving them both images and content.
Right. Content is key. I mean, and that's why we are here moving, WISeKey is moving from security to social media to social content, is that if you are able to generate content and you are an emotional brand, emotion is all about. I mean, if you are an emotional, like America's Cup is emotional, Oracle Team USA is emotional, Barcelona is emotional, this creates emotion, and this is what emotion fans want, is to be emotionally related to the technology. You don't sell technology, you don't sell security, you sell emotions. And obviously the emotion is enriched by the experience. Better experience you have in terms of using this application, better you're going to feel like, and higher your emotional capital is going to be.
You've adopted the brand, you've adopted the team, and from that point onwards, what you call monetization becomes a more straightforward operation.
Exactly. So then the clubs, in the future, you will see Real Madrid, Barcelona, Oracle Team USA, FIFA, and Flamengo in Brazil. Then they are becoming huge platforms. Everybody's moving towards a platform. For the time being, we are having only 2 or 3 big platforms like Google, Facebook, and others. But in the future, it's going to be branded platforms. Platforms then they are branded because the club has an ecosystem which is by far bigger than what one of those platforms are. For instance, I'll give you an example. If you, let's say that Real Madrid and Barcelona, only both teams, they have something like 1.6 billion followers around the world watching their matches. This is bigger than Facebook, which only has 1 billion. Why cannot become as big as Facebook in terms of becoming a platform value? So that's why we are helping brands. We are helping brands to become platform, to control their content, to distribute their content in a separated and a specialized way to fans, to clients, build CRMs, very big social CRMs, that can allow them later to process the data in a totally different way using security technology, which is our DNA. So they know very well that they are not selling the data that they cannot sell, compromising personal data of people. That is the guarantee of WISeKey. And the data you collect, the data is respected, and the end user data is going to be respected, and it's not going to be communicated with our authorization of the end user. And we did that for very serious projects like e-voting, like financial transactions in banks. So we have this experience, and now we can bring to the sport.
I find this conversation very enriching because although we're talking about technology, the passion you show about it corresponds to the passion you were talking about with the relationship between fans and their club. Now we've managed to connect directly with the Bay Area and San Francisco, and we'll be able to ask the Oracle Team USA how they feel about the application themselves.
Yes, it would be great to have their inputs.
Good morning and hello from Geneva, Switzerland. We had some questions following a conversation we had with Creus Moreira, the founder of WISeKey, and we want to better understand how Oracle Team USA, which has been using for the first time app technology to connect with its fan base, would you tell us exactly how you sense the importance of this interaction with your team during this major international event?
Well, my name's Grant Simmer. I'm the General Manager of Oracle Team USA. We're based here in San Francisco. We've only got 5 weeks left of the America's Cup, so we're fully occupied, big team fully occupied getting ready for the America's Cup. We're preparing our sailing skills, our technical setup of the boats and the final configuration of the boats. We're getting ready to defend the America's Cup starting on the 7th of September. And we've got people all around the world interested in what we're doing. We've got fans all around the world. And we need to use social media to keep them connected, to let them know what we're doing, to make them feel part of what we're doing. We're trying to build a fan base. We're trying to build the knowledge about the America's Cup and about our team in particular. And so social media, particularly on mobile devices, is where we want to put out this information. We want as many people involved with what we're doing as possible.
Creus Moreira was telling us earlier that your boat features extraordinary and revolutionary technology. Can you describe what it is exactly we can find on your boat?
Well, we have a big support. Every day we go on the water. Every day we go on the water, we have a big team of engineers and designers monitoring the boat for two primary reasons. One is the performance of the boat and understanding better the performance of the boat, and obviously how we can improve that performance over time. But the other thing is to monitor the boat, monitor the loads on the boat, and to make sure, or to try and avoid having a significant structural failure in any of the components, from the wing right through to the whole platform, centerboards, rudders, rudder wings, and so forth. But the other function is to help the sailors to learn more about how to sail the boat. So we have a lot of cameras on board the boat, GoPro cameras, looking at the ergonomics of how the crew perform, to even as far as the communication between particular crew members. How can we be more efficient in the way we sail the boat, physically and mentally? How do we communicate? How do we make better decisions on the water? And so we collect all this information and we try to make informed decisions using the information, and we share that with our fan base as much as we can without giving away too much technical information. We do share a lot of that information on social media. So we have a great content to put out there for people interested in the team.
Do you know any sort of statistics in the way of the amount of data coming off the boat on a given day, or anything in particular that's...
I don't have it. I know that on the boat at the moment we have about 300 sensors, and typically we have about 8 GoPros in different positions all over the boat. And we have a database, in-house database, where we can look at this information. We can look at the data with the images synced up. So the data and the images are synced up, and that allows the coaches and the engineers to fully understand what was going on, even if they weren't on the boat.
We understand that WISeKey has for many years been offering a fan-based security interaction systems to different clubs, including Barcelona, Flamengo in Brazil. And in your case, you've adopted the same technology. What benefits do you expect to perceive from the interaction with the apps that WISeKey has put together for you?
Well, firstly, we had a look at the app. We thought it was fantastic for the other team, so that's why we wanted a piece of this. And that's why we've just entered into a partnership with WISeKey. It aggregates all the information that we're putting out on the various social channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our website where we have various videos. This application from WISeKey allows all this information to be put in one place, and it means that our fans can be completely up to date with everything that our team's doing. And I think it helps the fans just to follow our progress as we work through to the 7th of September, and when we prepare ourselves to defend the America's Cup.
And do you think this kind of a movement is on par with what the America's Cup is trying to do? Younger generation, faster boats, mobile devices. Can you sort of tie it all together?
Well, I happen to be part of the wrong generation, but the fact that we want younger fans. These boats are faster, more exciting, edgy boats compared to the older style of the America's Cup, which was much slower, very different game from what we're seeing now. So it's much more a young man's sport, much faster boats, much more exciting, and as I said, very edgy in terms of how we sail the boats. And that ties in well with a younger audience who are much more socially active on all these channels, and so we need to provide information to this audience.
Well, thank you very much. We wish you luck for the upcoming challenge, and see you soon. Now we better understand the steps you've made to stretch out from your basic concept of security into domains that are much more complex and much more interesting in the long run. But WISeKey itself, you were launched in 1997, and you yourself come from a very interesting background. You were responsible for security for the United Nations for some 12 years and decided to branch out and launch your own company. WISeKey is one of the world's best recognized brands when it comes to digital security, but digital security isn't the only thing you do. Tell us where you've come from since the foundation of your company.
So our DNA, as you say, is security, and we wanted to be, during the first years of the company, very serious about deploying complex projects. We work on e-voting, we work on creating ultra-secure infrastructure to the United Nations agencies in Geneva, we secure the International Criminal Court. So those are very complex projects, and they require a very focused security angle. But we didn't want to do that. I mean, we did it in a way to show that we are able to do this, so we can go in other things than they are more B2C oriented. Our vision was not to have a B2B company on security, but a B2C company. I think the model that WISeKey is showing that security as a service is something that end users require. And before, the only thing security companies give to end user was virus protection type of stuff, which anyone can do it. So we wanted to be a bit more exclusive and bring the user to have a 360 security angle on how they can protect their personal data, their identity, their objects, their content. So we put the person in the middle of the ecosystem. The person is at the center, not the person is behind the machine. In our model, the person is at the center, and that person has to have a set of services and technology that they should protect their digital life. So for instance, you will be with WISeID protecting your personal data, your passwords, your credit cards, your personal data and postings that you will do in Facebook. All that you do with
is available to
it's available like WISfans in as an app stores. Then we started to say, okay, people have watches. You need to make sure that your watch is not counterfeited watch. So we started to cut deals with very famous brands like Dior, like Hublot, and others to start to secure watches and provide a digital ID on every watch those brands sells around the world, which are millions of it.
Which is a leap from the digital arena into the physical arena.
So yeah, exactly. So we start to identify objects. Now, by the year 2020, there's going to be 50 billion objects, then they're going to require a DNS, digital ID type of tag. Those objects are going to be talking to you. So now in your app, you see where you are in terms of geolocation. In 5 years' time, you're going to see where your objects are. So you will see where your car is, where your house is, where your fridge is. All your assets are going to have an ID and are going to be traceable. And you, as a person which owns those objects, will have total control in knowing where they are. You don't want somebody that is not trusted by you to have access to that information. So
that's
you need
where
to
you
encrypt.
come in, providing the security along the line.
So WISeKey is becoming a leader on that. We are starting to look into authentication of pharmaceutical products. 50% of the pharma is fake on the internet. I am now a member of the World Economic Forum Illicit Trade Advisory Council, which works in thinking how to reduce illicit trade. It's 5% of the global economy goes to illicit trade products. This is very serious. This money goes into the mafias of the world. So we are trying to bring technology so you can reduce illicit trade and really start in a thinking process on where security is an enabler in the same way that an airbag of a car is there to protect you, right? At the beginning, people didn't pay attention whether you need an airbag. Now they do. We are hoping in the next years to come, consumers are going to start to pay attention on security and request those type of technologies.
Not only has this conversation been interesting from a business point of view, but as in the press we've seen over the past few weeks, digital security is becoming a major concern. Hacking issues have been appearing and reappearing. Wiretapping has become a major consideration for governments and for individuals. With WISeKey, it's fortunate we've got ways of circumventing the problem both digitally and from objects' point of view. Thank you very much for watching us, and see you on the 22nd of August, when we'll be speaking with the CEO of Bowman Mercier Watches and the president of Caron d'Ache. See you then.